What's up, Infected? It's Wolf with the Quarantine, and today I'm going to be reviewing a game by the name of Mangaka, the Fast and Furious game of drawing comics. Now, this is from Japanime Games. It's recommended ages 12 and up, plays 1 to 8 players, and it plays in about 30 to 60 minutes. Now, all of that is about accurate, except my 9-year-old daughter played it, so I think that 12 plus is not really accurate. But other than that, the rest of that is pretty accurate. So, what is Mangaka? Well, Mangaka is a timed drawing exercise, actually. So it's less of a game and more of an activity where you and everybody else are given a time limit and you have to draw a comic. And it starts off as 2 panels and then it goes to 4, 6, and then 8. And the reason it's timed is basically it puts everybody on the same playing field because you don't have time to draw these really nice fancy drawings. Most of your drawings are going to be stick figures and stuff like that, and you're just trying to make a funny comic. And everybody's given 3 ridiculous subjects that they have to try to incorporate into their comic, and then each phase of the game is just a new chapter to the same comic, and you just kind of watch the hilarity unfold. That's really the game. Now, I do have a couple of other things that I have to mention. I was sent from Japanime Games an expansion that adds like 12 cards to it. So it's not really that big of a deal, but just know that some of the cards I may pull out you may not see in your game. But so it's only like 12 cards. Let's see, 3 trend cards, 9 new theme cards, and that's it. So that's really the only big thing. The other one is, of course, as usual, this is a review, it's not a tutorial, so I may skip over some rules and I may miss some, but it is a pretty simple game. So let's just go straight over to how the game's played, shall we? Alright, this is basically Mangaka set up, ready to go. Now, the game is going to come with a big pad here. I haven't separated any of them and I'll get to that later. But each player is going to get, it says round 1 here. Most of the rules and everything are actually down here on the bottom of the pages. So you're going to get a 2-pane, a 4-pane, a 6-pane, and an 8-pane page. So each player is going to have 4 pages. Then, each player is going to take 3 of these cards. Now their comic has to include these in here. So for example, my comic here would have to be exotic animals, juvenile delinquents, and romantic jealousy. So those have to be incorporated into my comic. And we're going to decide what difficulty we want to play on, and I recommend for at least the good first long while you play this game, you play on the beginner level and give yourself 8 minutes per comic. So once everybody gets theirs, you're going to sit there and think for a minute and go, okay, what is my comic going to be about? And you're going to try to give it a title, and then your pen name, which is what you want to go by, and then you're ready to go. Now there are a couple main rules in the game. You have to express your themes. You must include your obsessions in your comic, which are these 3. There's a little bit more to it, but I'm just going to go over the basics. Then you have to draw something in each panel, and then no more than 3 word balloons each round. Now, a word balloon is considered anything that has text or numbers in it. So if I put a guy standing in front of a podium and I put president in front of it, that is one of my speech bubbles. So that limits what you're allowed to do. Now you are allowed to have symbols and all kinds of other things, but you can't have numbers and letters. And those are the basics of how to play. There's 3 main rules. Again, the rulebook goes into more depth on specifics with those rules. So for example, like romantic jealousy. I can either illustrate a romantic jealousy, or I could talk about romantic jealousy, or mention the word romantic jealousy, or something like that, but I can't include it in the title. That may be creative, but it doesn't count in terms of scoring. And that's basically it. Then you're going to start your timer and everybody's going to do and start drawing. And what I'm going to do at the end of this is I have a stack here of crappy drawings that we did that I will include in the end of this video. But you're going to sit there and draw, and 8 minutes is a lot of time to do all this. So you're going to probably have a nice little drawing and a cool little story, or maybe just the beginning of how whatever got started or however. And then once the time's up, you're done. And then there's 2 different modes you can play on, and I recommend the latter. The first one is you reveal your comic to everybody and go, well, this is what happens, and you tell your story and you read your comic to everybody. Or, in my opinion, it makes the game a lot more enjoyable, is you take this and you hand it to somebody else, and everybody else collectively reads your comic without you giving any input, and then they decide what points you get. Now the points you get are all down here. You get +1 per obsession drawn or mentioned to a maximum of 3 per obsession, so it's 9 points you can get from this. So okay, there's romantic jealousy, and there's some juvenile delinquents over here, it looks like, and then some exotic animals, and blah blah blah. And collectively they would go, okay, well you're going to get, say, 6 points from that. So boom. And then then you go down. You say plus you get 2 points for using no more than 3 word balloons. So okay, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. You're good. So you get 2 more points. And then 2 more for drawing something in each panel. So was there drawing in each panel? Yes, I would get 2 more coins. And then that's my final score. And then you move to the next person and they do the same thing. So you add up. Okay, I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points. So you'll draw 9 here in fame. You swap out. So here's 4, 5. And you take 5 back. Or you can throw them all over because you wrote, what your fame was for this comic. So it's not really that big of a deal. It's just easier to keep track of who's winning and whatnot. And then once everybody goes around, then you're going to move to round 2. And the exact same rules apply, because now you're all going to take a second and you're going to think of a title of the second chapter, but now you're doing a 4-pane panel. However, there's another twist that happens round 2 and on. Depending on the round, you're going to draw so many of these trend cards. So round 2, you're going to draw 2 cards, whoever has the lowest amount of points, and you're going to look at these. And these change the scoring of the game. So for example, we have write the longest word balloon by word count for 5 stars. And it says in case of a tie, nobody wins. So if you pull this one off, you're just going to get 5 extra points. And then gain 3 stars if no words are in your comic are more than 5 letters long, or if you don't use any words at all. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at these secretly and go and choose one of them. So you'll go, okay, this one is the one that's in play this round. So this will go on the bottom of the deck. And then now everybody has this new thing that's in play. So whoever has the longest word balloon by word count gets 5 points. So now you have to make it make sense as well, because of course everybody else is judging your comic. So you can't just ramble on like you would a high school essay and just repeat the same crap over and over again, because again, everybody else is going to be reading your comic. So then you're going to do that. You're going to draw your thing, and if you run out of time, your pencil has to go down. And so whether you're done or not, there's no, 1 second, your pencil's over, or your time's over. And then you do the exact same thing. You go through, okay, +1 for each, thing in play, and blah, blah, blah. And then you move to round 3. So now you have to do 6 panels. And again, still only 3 word balloons. And then, last but not least, you need to do 8, which this one is the one that breaks a lot of people, because having 1 minute per pane and actually still making it make sense is kind of difficult to pull off. So that's basically the game. So let's go over some of these trend cards here. So some of these are actually really funny and really neat. So, again, we already saw that one, but then, draw 1 theme card and place it next to this card. The first player to finish drawing, who also includes this theme, gains 7. The second player to finish drawing, blah, blah, blah. So, it'll add new themes, maybe. And then you have, shameless rip-offs, where you can include one or more obsession of other players, and stuff like that. So you have, it's all inspired by manga and anime, but nothing says you actually have to draw that. The artwork's pretty good in it as well. I actually enjoy the very cartoony art style. But that's basically the game. Right here, you write a quote from a real or made-up celebrity, but praising your comic. The quote counts as a word balloon. Gain 2 stars for each obsession that's related to the celebrity, and gain 3 stars if the celebrity is a real person. So you have a whole bunch of these. So your games are very rarely going to be similar, and on top of that, you have these theme cards. So you're almost never going to get the same setup. Tournament competition, cute trinkets or merchandise, baths and onsens, fortune telling, sumo, desire to be the best, prescription drugs, desire to save the environment. There's so many of them. It's ridiculous. And I don't know if there's duplicates in here. We haven't seen any yet, and I haven't dug through the cards. That way, it's still new when when we go to play it. I'll get stuff that I've never seen before. Religion, video games, aliens, love shyness, and just a whole bunch of them. That's really how you play the game. So let's just go straight over to the final thoughts. Alright, Mangaka. Well, first and foremost, I'm actually going to, rather than you looking at my ugly mug, what I'm going to do is I'm actually, throughout this final thoughts area, I'm just going to post some pictures that I'm going to take of the comics that we've already played, just to show you kind of what the outcome of your ridiculous comics might wind up being. And then you could listen to me just kind of talk about the game. So, Mangaka. First thing I'm going to tell you is this is less of a game as it is more of an activity. Because if you break this game out, you're not playing it seriously. You are playing it to draw ridiculous cartoons and laugh at the absurd stuff that everybody else draws. Because the rules are so loosely written, it's very easy to just exploit the rules and just bank a whole bunch of points, and and then it's very subjective where you're like, well, no, I don't think that's ridiculous, that doesn't count, or this, that, and the other, or your comic makes no sense, and so on and so forth. So, honestly, if you're going to play this, you're going to be playing it very lighthearted and just whatever. It doesn't really matter who wins, you're just drawing dumb comics. That's pretty much it. So with that said, the game is actually a lot of fun. To be honest, I'm terrible at drawing. I used to draw a lot in high school, and I used to draw really, really well in high school. But life took over, joined the military, started a family, whole 9 yards. I don't have time to draw much anymore. So my drawing really went downhill. And so I didn't think I was going to care much for the game because, again, my drawings are terrible. And the first game we played, which I accidentally threw these away, unfortunately, or else I'd show them, the first 2-page comic we did, it was 8 minutes. I did this really cool detailed drawing, and it wasn't bad given the fact that I haven't drawn in like 15 years. And so it wasn't too bad. And then you could tell that my quality started up here and just like did a nosedive, because once you get to like round 3, you don't have time anymore to draw cool comics. You're doing stick figures and like this square is supposed to be something kind of things, and it just gets ridiculous. And then sometimes you get the dumbest 3 obsessions and you're like, I have no idea how to go put this through. So one of the comics you'll actually see through here, it was basically an episode of Dragon Ball Z, but instead it was with cats that were ripped, and we called them swole cats, and I don't remember exactly what I named the comics, but that's kind of how that went. And then another person went on a tangent about it was like a Captain Planet ripoff or something, and so it was a lot of fun. So if I were to rate it as a game, I would say it's not that great of a game, but as an activity and just something fun to do with the family, or have a few drinks and just ha 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 and play and laugh, or even increase the time limit to 10 minutes if you want. It's an insanely fun game. Nobody that played this disliked it. Everybody had a blast playing it because, again, we went in knowing that you don't want to go in serious. You're not doing it to win. You're doing it to read everybody's dumb comics. That's all you're doing. And if you play it knowing that, the game is outstanding. If you're buying it for any other reason, you probably steer clear. But when you look at the box, you know exactly what you're getting into. The Fast and Furious game of drawing comics. If you don't know what you're getting into, you probably shouldn't be playing games like this anyways. That's really the game. So it's got this unnecessarily large insert. I have 8 pencils down there at the bottom, so that way all I gotta do is grab this and go. But that's basically it. Yeah, I mean, we really enjoyed the game. However, there is one big caveat that I have. So we've played one 8-player game and one 3-player game, and we've already nuked through half of the little notebook that this comes with. And if I'm not mistaken, I counted through, we can only play, I think, one more 8-player game, or I think it's like an 8-player and a 2-player or something like that. So there's only really going to be enough, I think it's for 10 more games, or 10 more players essentially, to be able to play this. So that's kind of a big deal. With that said, you could easily just take a normal piece of paper, draw a line through it, you have your 2 panels. Doesn't matter how big they are. Then do that again and split it into 6, and then split it into, or split into 4, then 6, and then 8. So that's not that big of a deal, but it is something that you should be warned about. Now, I was playing with the idea with maybe taking these and laminating them and using wet erase markers or something, and that might work. Just know that each player is going to need 4 pages, and it plays up to 8 players. So it's actually going to be kind of pricey to laminate it. I think my local Office Depot said it's going to cost like a total of close to $60 or something obscene. So that's basically my review for Mangaka. Yeah, go out, pick it up if you want a really fun activity to play with friends, or while drinking, or at a party, or so on and so forth. And really, I don't see why you couldn't play this with more than 8 players. There's really no reason why you couldn't, except for the fact that you'll nuke through these super fast, and you might run out of these score coins. But other than that, if you're writing your score on your page, and then putting them all back, you shouldn't really even have to worry about that. So definitely pick it up if you like these kind of games. Fantastic little games. So anyways, that is my review for Mangaka. That last little bit was kind of all over the place, but I figure it just gives more time to show some of the dumb comics that we drew. So anyways, if you like my channel, check me out on Patreon. I got over this side, I've got a link to my Patreon over there. Any little bit of support helps. If you leave a comment, I read all the comments. If you can give me a like and subscribe. I have my Twitch and Twitter down in the comment section. I know I haven't streamed in a little while, but hopefully that'll start rolling again with the move and whole 9 yards. I just haven't had a whole lot of time free. So anyways, I will see you guys next time in the quarantine.